Good morning, and welcome to Thomas Houston Associates presentation on the new OFCCP scheduling letter and itemized listing. My name is Sabin Dante. I am the Manager of Projects and Compliance, and we're going to present an overview of this new scheduling letter. Any company that has 50 employees and $50,000 in federal contracts is considered a federal contractor and must prepare an affirmative action plan and update it on an annual basis. This plan can be audited by the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, or the OFCCP, who monitors all federal contractors. The reasons that they review include Executive Order 11246, which covers minorities and females, 03 of the Rehabilitation Act, which covers individuals with disabilities and recently updated this year, and VERA section, which is the Vietnam-era Veterans Readjustment Assistance Act, which was also updated this year, as well as the regulations under 41 CFR Chapter 60. The letter had not been updated in a very long time. And as stated, the regulations have changed in a lot of the areas. Therefore, this new letter was issued effective October 1st, 2014, and the OFCCP began utilizing it as of October 16th, 2014. When they issued the letter, they gave contractors 16 to go ahead and familiarize themselves with the letter. As with this presentation, we will see that there are a lot of changes. That it identifies where the compliance evaluation will be conducted. It states whether it's going to be an establishment, functional unit, or the corporate headquarters. That will be identified in the first paragraph of the letter. And what type of audit? Is it be a compliance evaluation or a corporate management compliance evaluation, what they call a CMCE, what we previously referred to as a glass ceiling audit. It informs your company organization that the OFCCP intends to verify your compliance with the Veterans Employment and Training, or the VETS 100A report. Under regulations, they've rescinded 60-250 and therefore rescinded the VETS 100 report. In reviews, they have asked for this after submission, but now they're asking it as part of the initial submission. In the itemized listing, has changed under Executive Order 11246, which covers females and total minorities, items 1 to 6 are unchanged. What these include is the additional profile, which is under 6-2.11, which covers your workforce analysis or organizational profile. The formation, which is under 60-2.12, what we call the job group analysis, where we're looking at titles within each job group. The formation of the job groups is very important because your statistical analysis from minorities and women are based on the job group, as some of the compensation may be evaluated based on this job group. So the formation of job groups is critical when preparing the plan for the compliance evaluation. The next 4 are pre-utilization analysis. 2.13 is the statement of the percentage of minority and female incumbents. Under the analysis, we're going to report on total minorities. 2.14 is the determination of minority and female availability using the factor. Factor 1 is external, which now we are required to use the 2010 census data. Factor 2 is internal, promotable and transferable within the organization. Once you have availability, you're now going to compare incumbency to that availability for each job group under 60-2.15. And finally, you are going to establish placement goals for any job group where percentage of minorities and females is less expected given that availability rate that you established in 0.14. So placement goals are included in 60-2.16. So the four groups and the utilization are including that workforce analysis. These are all the same reports that have always been requested as part of the scheduling letter. However, that had 11 items, next 22 items. So it really doubled. They are requesting as part of the initial submission. To do with the new regulations under Section 503 for individuals with disabilities and EVRA. And major changes regarding the reporting and collection of compensation data, which we will discuss shortly. It is a change and will affect all organizations that have to submit a plan for a compliance review. First, we're going to Section 503. 7 is the result of the effectiveness of outreach and recruitment efforts. The submissions were March 24th of 2014. So any plan date of 4/1/14 is there to start collecting this data, and we'll report on it starting with your 4/1/15. So if the date is after 1, you should have been and should be collecting this information. So number 7, you be evaluating your outreach, your contact organizations, you're attending career fairs, you're placing ads. You should be keeping the supporting documentation on all of these outreach efforts and evaluating them on your next plan date, see if they're working. And if they're not, you need to redirect your efforts. You should not be continuing to use resources that are not producing qualified individuals with disability applicants. For the new number 8, you need to evaluate your onboarding system requirements. See if there are any impediments for individuals with disability. This evaluation should also be documented. When it is going to be done again, what were the results, and are there any corrective actions that are going to be taken? Item number 9, you must run the computations and comparisons for the previous 12 months. So your 15 plan will include the evaluation from 4/1/14, 3/31/15, and then include the number of individuals with disability applicants, jobs open, which would include hires and promotions, the total of applicants, the total of individuals with disability applicants who were hired. This is the first time ever that there is a statistical analysis now required under individuals with disabilities. analysis is going to be evaluated and must be submitted in a client's evaluation for any plan from 415 on. I want to ensure that you are inviting applicants to self-identify as an individual with a disability as part of the application process. Your AT system should be maintaining that information also. Number 10 is a utilization analysis. The OF established a 7% goal by job group. Therefore, this analysis will look at that job group and compare employees who have identified as an individual with a disability. Therefore, be reinforced between now and your next plan year. You will have that information. Your HRIS system is going to be updated to ensure that you can capture that information. And for individuals with disabilities, it is by job group, except if your total workforce is less than 100, you compare your workforce as a whole. Location, it's by total workforce. So if you have several different plans and locations have more than 50, your workforce is more than 100. Therefore, you must do it by job group and by plan. Under the letter, if you are more than 6 months into your plan year, you also submit an update similar to what is required for minorities and women. Similarly, on new VEVRA regulations, the new item number 11, and similar to what is required for item number 7 in the individuals with disabilities, the evaluation of your outreach and recruitment for protected veterans. Program veterans, rehab services, any organizations or job fairs or ads that have been done should be documented, as well as name, the date, who attended, what result, because if you don't know the result of providing qualified protected applicants, you really need to redirect the effort. You can't keep doing this thing if it's not producing the measurable results. For 12, the audit and reporting system, again, looking at evaluating your processes. Job descriptions, making sure job descriptions have the detailed physical and mental requirements so you can truly compare what is minimum qualifications of the position with the individuals that are selected. If it's a disabled veteran or an individual with a disability, can that job be performed with or without a reasonable accommodation? Under item 13, similar to individuals with disabilities, item number 9, that computation of the and hires. Again, the number of applicants who self-identified as a protected veteran, the number of open, which is hires and promotions, total number of applicants, total filled, and the number of protected applicants. The system include voluntary self-identification of individuals with disabilities and protected veterans. They should be that self-identification as part of the application process. For new 17, the protected veteran benchmark is currently 7.2%. A client can adopt the CCP benchmark, which will be reviewed and updated annually, or the CCP states that you can develop your own benchmark using factors that will determine whether your benchmark may be higher or lower. And some of the factors include evaluation of veterans that have used the Employment Service Delivery System, veterans in the state, your assessment of your outreach, your assessment of your good faith efforts, and you can develop your own benchmark, or you will use the current 7.2%. The individuals with disabilities, if you are more than 6 months into your plan year, you must update for that update period. The support data, items 15 to 17. Items is now the old item number 7, where they're asking for the last 3 years of your EEO-1 report. Item 16, which is old item 8, copy of bargaining agreement. If you have a union, you must not only submit the collective bargaining agreement, but also must submit any policy statements, the handbook, anything that would be related to the collective bargaining agreement. Employees, all of that must now be included as part of the initial submission. 17, which is old item number 9, is the goal accomplishments. You at the start of your plan year, you're now pairing placements. Hire promotions to the job group. Place at availability for females and minorities. If the goal was not attained for unutilized job groups, protected group members, you need to describe what oriented programs did you undertake? What good faith efforts were made to achieve these goals? Provide that in the initial submission as a description of what you have done. If you are more months into your plan year, you must submit an update on these goals and your progress made towards them. For item, it's what they call the support for your employment activity. Hires, promotions, terminations. This is item number 10. All these activity tables so they can look at what has happened during that previous 12 months in history. A job group, it can be done by job title. Houston does it by job group. For this is now you must submit not only gender, but the individual race categories, not aggregate total minority information. This will allow them to do a deeper dive on the activity and some processes for individuals coming in, individuals being promoted, and individuals going out, so that they can now take it down to the much more granular level of individual race categories. What is provide your company's definitions of what a promotion is, and they were compiled. So promotions to the job group, promotions from the job group, or promotions within the job group. What is your company's definition of a promotion? Analysis is going to evaluate all of this selection process. And to the goals, you must set this information if you are more than 6 months into your plan year. What progress have you made? Have evaluated your selection process. The issue analysis is going to tell whether there was any adverse impact, and if it was identified, has anything changed in your selection process? what is now being done to that there are no discriminatory patterns or effects. Only valid job-related reasons are used in that selection process. The law is in compensation, which is old item number 19 and now, old item number 11 and now item 19. Have stamped this. Previously, we would submit the consolidated information, a title, and we would get another request where they are taking it down to that next level, and it used to be the item letter, and sometimes it was more and sometimes it was less, but they would ask for more specific information. Now, as part of the initial submission, you must include all employees, which would include employees that are on your company payroll. If you use temp agency and the are paid through the temp agency, they would not include them because they are not on your payroll. If you have DM, you have co, you have interns, you have day laborers. If you contract employees, again on your payroll, they're considered employees of the company. If they're not on your payroll, they are not an employee. They're very specific as to the detail that they want on each employee. The gender, individual race, the data, the job title, the category, the job group. They are really taking it down to a much closer evaluation as part of the initial submission. And the largest change is that you are now to include both base salary, hours worked, wages, and any adjustments to salaries. So you're looking at bonuses, incentives, commissions, could be merit increases, could be location pay, could be overtime. You want to make all these additional compensation pieces and EBIT, as well as looking at the total cash compensation. This captured somewhere. So you share this new scheduling letter with both your inside counsel and your corporate compensation group. So they're well aware that if you get a scheduling letter, you're going to be asking for all this additional information since it must be submitted to OFCCP, and it must be submitted as complete as possible. So you will not be waiting till you get the scheduling letter to start looking at this information. Now that we know it's on the letter and any location could be selected for a compliance evaluation, you want to ensure that you are taking a proactive approach in looking at this information. As associates, do provide a comparative salary report as a starting point. And new data requirements is going to ask for this data. If you have the, we can help evaluate it for you. But to ensure that you will be able to get this information and report it. And the 30 time frame is not very long. The proactive approach is really the way that you should be looking at this new scheduling letter, because you never know when you're going to be receiving that scheduling letter. You can also provide additional data on what factors are used to determine the compensation. Is it education, experience, location, performance, department? If you establish salary ranges and grades, may you have supporting documentation and any policies related to your compensation practices. What factors are used to determine compensation? You can review EEO category. You can view it by job group, by department. What you're looking at is similarly situated employees, and at it both within and across both racial and ethnic categories, because CCP is going to do that the same way. Though the initial submission is race and gender, they're also looking at minorities, non-minorities, males, and females. So to ensure that compensation is fair across the board. And you really need to understand your compensation policies and practices. That's very important to share this with your compensation team. This new item 20, they're for reasonable accommodation. You must provide any kind of reasonable accommodation policy or process. You don't have a written policy. You should at least have a written process outline. So an applicant knows how to accommodation, and if it's to the supervisor or hiring manager, what's the process? Who do they contact? How do you evaluate that accommodation request? As documenting what the request was and the resolution. And the request could be for physical accommodations. It could be religious accommodations. Any type of accommodation that is provided should be maintained and documented on a consistent basis. The new I-1 and 22 requirement of your personnel processes to ensure they're non-discriminatory and followed in a consistent manner. And this is under the 300 regulations, which is vets, protected vets, and 741 for individuals with disabilities. Similarly, you want to be sure that you're assessing all physical and mental qualifications. You need to keep documentation on when the assessment was performed, what you're made, and when that next assessment is. This is a new change in the detail that is being asked as part of the initial submission. So again, can't wait till you get the scheduling letter. You have to start it now. If your info is computerized, you should submit it in electronic format as part of the Paperwork Reduction Act, that the OFCCP can ensure that it is complete and usable. And the schedule has the new OMB, or Office of Management and Budget Control number. So footnote states that you do not need to respond unless the letter has that new OMB number of 1250-003. And I'm sure all scheduling letters are going to include that note. What we've observed is that there is certainly a significant increase in tracking and assessment, both collection and policies and processes and outreach. The old letter said that it would take about 4.5 hours to collect this data. And if you've been compliance review, you know it takes a heck of a lot longer than that. This new scheduling letter quotes that it's going to take 27.9 hours to collect this data. I think that's optimistic because it's a lot more to plan for submission. There is no change in the time to respond. Once that letter is sent, which is certified return receipt requested, once received, you have 30 calendar days to respond. They're not granting extensions for any length of time, if at all. So again, proactive approach is what to go to ensure that you review the listing and identify any steps needed to prepare for a timely response to the OFCCP. Thomas uses you in all different types of programs and training and mock audits and audit, in preparation, compliance evaluations, O1 and vets, as well as we have a service for VEVRA and Section 503, that there is an additional consulting service that we provide if you need help implementing the new regulations under Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act and VERA. Here is our information. Welcome any questions, any calls. We will be glad to help you in any way that we can. For TA clients, there is in your HR Resource Center, there is a Veteran Section 503 toolkit that has been provided to you. So any questions, please hesitate to ask. This program, I appreciate your time together today and look forward to working with you again. Have a good day.